call meeting order. If we stand for the invocation and pledge. Linda?
Heavenly Father, we come before your mighty throne of grace once again, dear Lord, to thank you for the many blessings that you often send to us, dear Lord, and that's every day, every minute, and every hour of the day. We thank you for the friendships. We thank you for the fellowship. Then, dear Lord, we just ask that you be with us in this meeting. Let it be to your will and to your way that we please you, Lord, in the things that we do tonight, carrying out the business for hope. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Mark?
Join me in a pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the meeting tonight. We got two down here. Reggie is in Little Rock with his dad, having issues, and Steve is, we don't know. If anybody sees Steve, we missed him. So if we would view the minutes, and then we'll be ready to go in.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Got a motion second to approve the minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, we'll move right on into item 5.
Yeah, I'll ask Dr. Jonathan Crossley to come to the podium, and he's going to present, make a presentation to the board tonight regarding some infrastructure plans that Hope High School has, and so I'll turn it over to Dr. Crossley.
Thank you, sir. May I approach the bench?
You may.
Okay, I have a few flyers I'd like to give to everyone here. Thank you so much. All familiar faces here. City manager is correct. I have a few things that are very exciting we want to talk about today. It started out as a conversation about the baseball field. I think we all know there's an agreement between the city and Hope Public Schools with Legion Field that has been a few years as an undertaking. So Mr. Wilson and I met, we were talking a little bit about that agreement and where we're going, and then I mentioned to him the overall infrastructure plan that we're looking at for our millage election this coming fall, right? So August the 8th is our millage election. So I just want to take this opportunity to walk you guys through that. I think you guys should be aware as soon as possible. This is hot off the presses, so this is actually the first day after vetting. This flyer will be widely spread throughout the city here soon. So if you would, just take a look at the front there. August 8th, 2023 is the date. I'll give you a moment, if you don't mind, just on your own, to bring any questions that you have, maybe 2 minutes or so, just to peruse and ask any softball questions or hard questions that you would like to ask. And then we'll go deeper into the presentation.
I have to. On the Gerber Middle School, your athletic, are we going to improve our gym that me and Maurice played in
Yes, sir.
over the years?
I'm proud to say yes, and I'll get more specific on some of those plans.
That and also the ad drive, I'm very interested in it.
Yes, sir. I'll note that and I'll go deeper, make sure I hit those. And those are 2 selling points anyway, so I'll make sure I go into that anyway, but mark that.
I know you can talk about high school and what's going to be happening out there. So.
Yes, sir. Oh, yeah.
That's going to be really something different. Did you go here?
I did.
Do you remember the gym and
After
stuff?
consolidated.
Yeah. All stuff was falling out the ceiling.
All right, I am a school teacher at heart after all, so if you're ready, say you're ready.
We're ready.
All right, let's do this. So, there's two basic prongs for the millage election, right? It's infrastructure that is needed, and it's employee investment, which is also needed. So when I transitioned into the district 2 years ago, I did the circuit, talked to all the internal groups and external groups, and these two things came up largely. And it's can we do, how can we do, let's do, how can we do. And so then the board, and I see it, recognize a few board members in the room. We have Mr. Jimmy Courtney and Mr. Bubba Powers in the back, who are very supportive. We have many items that we need to fix in Hope Public School from an infrastructure perspective. We don't have unlimited money. So when we're looking at the most prioritized projects, these are ones that were already on the facilities master plan. So Maurice Henry is in the back, and he's worked on this for years. But the Agri facility is one. Maurice can put you on the spot like I always do. When was that Agri building last updated?
80s.
80s and built before,
Yes.
correct? Okay. So raise your hand if you walked in the Agri facility recently. Probably.
No, right about 75.
It's still back
Okay.
there.
All right. Well, I will challenge you to schedule some time with our new building principal or myself or Maurice and just do it. Do it as a concerned citizen, as someone in the community, and just do a walkthrough. We are looking at some massive upgrades there that will actually have partnership money from the state. We will not be able to do all of the renovations we want to do with the Agri facility if we don't have some public funds to match it with. So we're actually at a good rate. We're at 72%. So the state's going to fund 72% of our Agri facility upgrade, which predominantly is our HVAC, our roof, and the spacing requirements that we don't currently have. There's absolutely no reason that Hope Public Schools should not have the premier Agri program in the entire Southwest Arkansas region. Dare I say the Architects. I keep saying the Architects over and over and over again because I believe that's possible. So we're looking at there. We didn't put a rendering in here because it's not totally ready yet, but there will be on the website in the future. It is an upgraded Agri facility and a show barn. So I'll be hopefully coming back to you after or close to election or after election, talking about how we are literally having animals housed next to our high school facility, because we believe that if we had that sort of facility with an upgraded Agri facility, we can be the premier site in Southwest Arkansas. Additionally, the Yerger complex, do me a favor, whether it's tonight, tomorrow, sometime before the weekend, just go stand on the street and look into the courtyard area from around the practice football field. Just take a look, right? These renderings are mock-ups and they're renderings, but here's a few things that it does that's really, really exciting. One, this part of Yerger, this Yerger upgrade, is probably 50 years overdue and hasn't been done in 80 years. So the wiring, the telephone poles, all that just is right in the heart of campus that makes a welcoming courtyard impossible to have, makes Dr. Clark look at that every single day, kids walking through that courtyard to a gym that hasn't been updated, dare I say, hardly ever. It gives a certain feel when kids go to school every day. And the bones of the major part of the Yerger campus is actually really good. If you walk inside of Yerger into the classrooms, cafeteria, actually really good bones. But you wouldn't know it from the outside, and you definitely wouldn't know it if you're looking from the football field onward. So what we're looking at Yerger is a sizable upgrade that we would not be able to afford without public investment. So that's increased parking area. If you've ever tried to park at Yerger at any given time when there are people there, it's very difficult. There's not a clear entryway into Yerger. If you haven't noticed, it's that portion was built, I guess, in the 80s. I'd imagine in the 80s, infrastructure-wise, because a lot of folks had those flat roofs and it was kind of blocked. There'll be a clear entryway, a safe entryway, and a clear entryway for Yerger. An upgraded courtyard area with an outdoor classroom, updated practice field for football, and just for general PE. It'll be an abbreviated as shortened football field length. We'll have, with that courtyard area being increased, it'll be an homage to Henry C. Yerger for sure, and to the Yerger alumni. We're already looking at the old alma mater and some of the things that they're so proud of. We're going to pay honor to that in that courtyard area. And the Yerger Gym. So that is another, the Yerger Gym will receive 72% partnership money. That gym I'll be really honest, that was the first facility in Hope 2 years ago when I walked in that I was ashamed of. And probably still the only one that I'm actually ashamed of, okay? And we have kids in there every day. So when I walked in, you can do it, same thing we're talking about the ad ride. Do it to the Yerger Gym. Get an appointment, walk into the Yerger Gym, and look up after a rain. Look down after a rain. You know, I can make this interactive. Dr. Clark, what's going to be on the floor?
I don't know what that stuff is. It look like
What is that stuff? It's sealant for this sealant.
Old installation.
The old installation will be on the gym floor. It will be, depending on the season, it'll be extremely hot or extremely cold, depending on the season. There's a roll-up garage door on the back to kind of keep the air circulating. The front area where concession or anything could be is not really updated. The stands need updating. The locker rooms need updating. And if we're definitely going to have any athletic, middle school athletic investment, it needs to be an update there for the weight room. I encourage you to do the same thing there. Visit the weight room. That investment at Yerger will make our entire city proud. It'll make every student that walks in the hallways of Yerger proud. It'll make every student that used to walk the hallways of Yerger proud. So we have an intern. This is a story. We have an intern who's great. She'll be a senior next year. She's an immediate intern. And so she looked at some of this, and I'm not going to over-dramatize this. She didn't almost cry, but she got like visibly emotional. Look, she goes, "That's Yerger?" And I was like, "Could be." And we're going to talk about it and see what happens. She goes, "That's going to be so awesome. Kids will be so excited about that. You know, my uncle will be so excited about that because he used to teach there." There is so much potential to invest in that site, which will allow us to not only have the 200 and something students that we have now, we're talking about growth. We anticipate that in the next few years with the magnet program and maybe some reconfiguration down the line, we could have even more students who are going to the Yerger Middle School. With that, the STEM program, the arts program that we're growing across our district, but Yerger is a piece of that, we need more space. We need space, world-class space for our world-class students. And we truly believe that Yerger can be a diamond in our city. Clinton Primary and Burl Henry will also have updated digital signage for the campus, updated fencing for the campus. The visibility on both those campuses is great. I mean, they're right there on the main thoroughfares for different folks and parts of the community. We want to upgrade that tangibly. And then Hope High School. So I love Hope High School, right? I know some people say, "Why don't you just build a brand new high school?" Well, it costs about $45 million to build a new high school, okay? And we have too much space as is. So, and you can vouch for this, Maurice. In our facilities plan, we were talking about building a new facility and partnership money and whatever, and we had the consultant look at us point blank and said, "You're not going to get funded for a new school, any new school." It's like, okay, well, why is that? And they said, "Well, you have too much space. You have too many buildings." Hope High School, many of us went to Hope High School in here. How many kids do you think Hope High School can hold in current modern day?
1,000.
Our cheaters, yes, it's around 1,000. It's about 1,100, just over 1,000. How many are currently in there?
600.
600 and some change. So we can tangibly put 400 kids over there and meet the letter of the law and be fine. Now, I'm not saying we're going to do that, but we have enough space from a facility standpoint, which makes it really hard for the state to say, "All right, build a brand new high school." Same thing for Yerger. How many students do you think Yerger could fit?
600.
5, you good?
Yeah, about 600, wasn't it?
That's about how many were there when I was there.
How many is there right now?
You just said 2.
220, 240. Okay, Burl Henry. Okay, who wants to guess how many students can Burl Henry hold?
325.
325,
500.
500,
6.
6,
480?
480. Okay. Clinton
How
Primary.
many was there
How
when
many
I went to
students can it
school?
hold?
About 1,200.
Right on the nose. 1200. How many do we have now?
1,200.
Well, it feels that way. We do have a large elementary school. We have over like 11, almost, well, 1050, but that includes the pre-K, right? We have a pretty sizable elementary school. We have space. Okay, we are not in a position to where we need to build brand new facilities, but we do need to take care of what we have. And so we're talking about 2 projects by the grace of the good Lord that have been funded by the state. And now we're sitting here going, all right, how do we get this fully funded where we can invest $400,000, $500,000 here or there? $2 million here or there to make Yerger a premier campus in our community, which I think would be awesome. And the high school the same way. I'll keep going with the high school. So the exterior of the high school, I love that, and many of you have commented on it, the exterior classic look of the high school, I love that. But we also can have modern upgrades within an older structure. So this is, I'll be really quite honest with you, this is not my favorite rendering just yet, but it's one we wanted to go ahead and put in the brochure. The basic idea is this. We want to have a modern, sleeker, open look at the front of the campus. The eye line from Main Street as you're looking at the campus to have great seating there, minimizing shrubbery and green, even though some people like that, I get it. It's really hard to maintain and keep up year round. So having that courtyard area feel at the front of the campus that really is classy with a modern, sleek look on the front while maintaining the older architecture. Around the sides there, some of it is just trimming up and fixing what you have. It costs very little, relatively speaking, a low amount of money. $50,000 here, $60,000 there can really upgrade the facilities. Again, these are things that ultimately we're going to voters for. The high school also has areas for improvements that we're talking about less but are still needed, right? So last year we updated the football stands, $32,000 worth in the football stands to shore it up and make sure it was safe for the foreseeable future. So the stands structurally will hold for the next 7 to 10 years, right? But when's the last time you went to a football game and looked at the stands? Maurice, when was the last time the stands were upgraded at Hope High School football field?
80. Been in the new season.
In the 80s. 80. What about the structure of the football field?
I'm talking 10 years.
So we're sitting on a 90-year plot. Okay? We got the new turf, that's great. Now, that was 12 years ago, and that's at the end of its life. The turf is at the end of its life, so we're looking to re-up that investment. But the football complex, as it is, needs an upgrade. And so we're not talking about pumping $20 million into the football complex or an astronomical amount of money. We're talking about getting it to a safe standpoint and a nice standpoint. So the press box being updated, signage being updated, those sorts of things. I think really good investments that will shine really positively on our community. The fencing around the side, that old, and I know you've seen that, but it annoys me to no end, that old barbed wire around the track. When's the last time you saw that? Today.
Yeah.
It's just unbecoming of a modern high school and what we want to project to the community. So there's that nice fencing that we budgeted that you can put in around there. There's no reason we can't grow and have a wonderful track program. Absolutely no reason. Okay? And so there's some field event things, and there's the track there and the practice field over there that can be upgraded. Not an astronomical amount of money, but can be upgraded to have facilities that are worthwhile for not just our student athletes, but our community as well. With that, the band benefits in this. So the practice area for the football field, the band is practicing, if anybody knows the schedule of the band, they're world class. They're doing great. They're top 10 in the state this year. I project they'll be top 5 in the state next year, if not higher. And they're during competition season, they're at the high school until 8:30 at night. Waiting on this or that structurally to be able to get in an area where they can practice. This takes care of that. So in 2 years' time, we would be able to have the band practicing in a reasonable amount of time. The band shell at the football games would be upgraded. Band investment would be possible. We want to grow our band program as we're growing our other programs, like the last two that I mentioned. So tennis, the tennis courts, the public tennis courts are great. We've used them. We've grown our tennis program quite a bit, but it's really difficult to keep folks off the tennis courts. Public, I mean, I drove by there today and saw someone on a skateboard on the tennis courts, okay? And more power to skateboarders, that's great, but when you're talking about a competition tennis court, maybe not so much. So we're looking at a smaller tennis investment on the physical plant of the high school. Which I think is needed. And then baseball. So not to vary the lead on some of the things I want to talk to you about today, but the baseball complex. So we invested $120,000 3 years ago for the baseball field, taking on, I brought that agreement with me, taking on basically just ownership of making sure that the field was maintained, which I understand, right? $120,000 investment. Recently, though, we've uncovered some drainage issues that makes it really hard to maintain. So while we thought that $120,000 initial, upgrade would be great, and just keep moving, we're looking and we're sitting on it. So we want to get this to pass, and the voters and you guys take a look at it. But is it $24,000 we're sitting on?
Yes, sir.
$24,000 for a drainage issue at the baseball field that makes it really hard to play and maintain the field just in any given time. So the water's standing, it makes it really hard to maintain and keep it maintained. And it just reflects really negatively on the program, reflects really negatively on the city. And we want to keep our baseball program at Legion Field because we understand the history of it all, but we want to invest, right? As a school district, we want to invest in our student athletes and want to invest in the city as well with that. So there, we're looking at a few different options. I don't know if the Cadillac option is going to be available in a public-private partnership with the baseball field or not, but I think we definitely can have turf infield. Turf infield is takes care of the issue. Truly, the way they dig it and the way they drain it and irrigate it, it truly takes care of that issue. So turf infield, we do a great job already of keeping up the outfield, so that kind of maintains as is. New fencing around the outfield and around the back there, looking at a new entryway into the baseball complex, new dugouts and concession stand. Now, there's a version of all of that could be possible. There's a Cadillac version that costs, and it's in our budget. The Cadillac version is actually in our budget, but might not be the best investment. A different moderate version of that, a silver version of that might be the one that still gets us a lot of the things that we actually need and want from a city perspective, from a school district perspective, that would make us proud. I had a meeting today with a school board member who will remain nameless, but one thing that we talked about was about school pride, right? We so deeply want folks who graduated from Hope and who come back and volunteer or who just live here to be proud of the way Hope facilities look and the product that is coming out of Hope High School and all the schools. We feel the same way about our kids who are already in our schools. We want them to be proud and feel good about where they go to school, and the same thing for our employees. So the last little bit there from an investment standpoint is an investment into our employees. So all employees. The LEARNS Act is something that has been talked about quite frequently, and I think we all have read about it in the paper. It took care of, from a financial standpoint, the new starting salary for teachers. It raised it to $50,000, and that is seen as a large success from a introductory recruitment standpoint, but not necessarily from a retention standpoint. So what we're looking at doing over the course of this campaign is to have tangible ways to have increases for all of our areas. So take into account Maurice and his crew, bus drivers, maintenance workers. We got Vice Mayor Tally is on the board, obviously, and she works in our business office. Right? So there's a tangible increase that all employees deserve to not just have a living wage, but a competitive wage for everyone across the Arklatex. So there's a tangible investment there that we feel really proud about. The final numbers for that increase, we will know more after this school year, but we're not talking $500 or $600 per employee. We're talking about, and I'm not being dramatic here, we're talking about an employee group or a paraprofessional going from below the poverty line with kids to above the poverty line with kids. We have to take care of our people. And that's not just, so I hope that all school districts are thinking about it this way, because there's a disparity between classified and certified staff members across the state, across the nation. This is a way that we can invest in that. And certified staff members win too. I mean, teachers will receive increases that are commensurate with their experience and their expertise. So right now, I looked at one employee group, and this is just spit numbers. A teacher who has been teaching for 13 and a half to 15 years with a master's degree, with the LEARNS Act money, will make $50,000. I mean, compared to last year, that's great. That's an increase. That's good. But compared overall with the state, the Arklatex, and other areas that are also receiving this increase, it's not. And so I've sat across the table from people who wanted to be in Hope, who wanted to move to Hope, who wanted to work with us, but turned it down based on $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. And I'm not being dramatic here. That goes away. That piece of the conversation goes away. When Dr. Clark is trying to hire social workers, that conversation about getting the qualified person from across state lines who's making X amount of money doing this at this place becomes obsolete. When we're talking about the business office and what they could make and should make versus what they are making now, it goes away because we're all professionals. I'm really excited about the campaign overall. This is kind of the first time that I'm talking about it widely in public, so forgive any unpolished presentation that I have today. Take a look at, if you would, on the right side of the brochure if it's opened up, right? These are things that not everybody cares about, but I feel like the people on the board will care about. The top thing there is how we compare with other districts. And so I try to include those that are right around us for comparison. and also some that are just of note, and I'll go even deeper into that. So we are 200th out of 225 school districts in the state of Arkansas. And so you can look at that a lot of different ways, but the way that superintendents and managers, business managers look at it is that correlates with less money to spend on improvements that you need as a school district. Okay? So you'll see Prescott, Spring Hill, 7 or so mills above where we are. Genoa Central, Magnet Cove, Falk, within 30, 35, 40 minutes of where we are, and you see where theirs are. With the increase that we're asking for, we wouldn't even be at the top of this list. We would be in the top tier, more close to the top tier. We'd be somewhere in the top 12 across the state, which would put us, I believe, in the top in terms of investment in our region. And that includes Texas, and that includes Louisiana. At the bottom there, you'll also see a graph that talks about what will they cost individuals. That's obviously something that is important and should be known and not hid. It should be very clear. This is not a $2 a month increase, but it's also not a $100 a month either. So the average property value in Hope is around $82,000, and again, that's the average. That's what's highlighted there. We included 50 all the way down to 150. It's assessed at 20%, so you'll see there, and you'll see what it would be monthly and what it would be per day. Okay, so for the average person, in terms of just the average, not necessarily the average person, but the average aggregated, it's about $18 a month. So it's not nothing, but it is a major investment. There's more in there about specifics of date and everything else, but the reason I brought all of this, I felt the context is important because in the future, I would like to come back after the millage passes, or once we get down the line right at, maybe, who knows, right before or right after the millage vote, to talk about the agreement. So while I think the agreement was sound and good, I learned more about this over the last year. I think there's a lot of good things about this agreement. I think with the investment that we're talking about, there's potentially some wiggle room to rethink about how we interact with the park or the city and how the city interacts with us in order to maintain what I would imagine would be a world-class baseball facility and world-class for our parks as well. And I'll say this, the only reason, and I'll just put this out there, the only reason Lady Cat Field isn't on this list is because they maintain about 7 or so leagues that play there, and it is not recommended to do that because of spikes being used on turf. So it's very clear, we're the only baseball team essentially that plays on Legion Field. We have Watermelon Fest there as well, but we are the primary driver and user of that field during the course of a regular school year. So I'm aware that was a long presentation, but do you guys have any thoughts, questions, or concerns that I would love to field in any genre of feedback that would be good?
That's one thing on Legion Field is, I mean, I know that they used to have Legion teams that played there. Mm-hmm. So if those teams were developed or brought back, I mean, I'm assuming that would still work to play games
That's a good
there on
assumption.
that field.
That's a good assumption. And that would be drawn out in kind of how we negotiate that and look at that, because it'd be us and you guys trying to create a smart agreement. But yeah, we want more inclusivity. We want more people investing in our facilities. So yeah.
And I really think that if we improve the facilities, we would be able to get stuff like that back in our park system.
You know, I coached Legion for several years, and the good thing about Legion is generally built around your town. It's one team, and you're playing other cities or other towns with Legion teams. And what it really does is it creates for their own high school. It gives their own high school players an avenue to stay local and not have to travel on, go far away for play on teams. That's another good draw for it. So it really helps the high school team, helps keep their kids in shape and keep playing, master their skills.
And the drainage issue that you brought up, was that something that was missed when they did that the first time, or?
So I'll let Maurice talk more about it. My impression of this, I'll be very quick, okay? My impression of this is, short answer is yes. I think that portions of it were missed. But I don't know that it could have been caught on the front end. I don't know that it could have been. Now, Maurice may be more critical. He may think so, but what is your assessment of that?
Yeah. It was something that should have been addressed from the beginning, but it wasn't because of the limited money at that time, or the limited funds wanted to be invested at that time. It should have been a fresh drain on the right on the left side, third base line. It wasn't. And the
But
water-
that was something that was presented to you then?
Yes,
You,
it was.
you had the option?
Yes.
Okay, that's what, I was just saying, I didn't know if that was just something that came up after the fact, but
Yes, the engineer, the guy from Sherwood, and one lady to put their work, he recommended we did that.
okay.
But we didn't.
And I don't mean to be funny here, but if we're talking about, $15 million investment with the Magnet grant and raising money for a private foundation and investing in pre-K, why not think world-class and where we want to be in the next 10 or 20 years? And so this sort of investment, employee-wise and facility-wise, puts us in good company. I walked a new principal who will remain nameless through some of our facilities, and they're not from Hope. And so it was a little like, okay, all right. These are things that I'm glad we're trying to address, but could be addressed. Because there are other districts who have taken some of those steps, whether it's through millage or some other investment, and there's no reason we cannot be the world-class school district inside the Arklatex, and I believe that wholeheartedly. So, I've got 2 board members here. They've been in knee-deep in this conversation with me and other folks. I just want to open it up to you if you have any context you want to provide. Just want to make sure I keep my job for the next foreseeable future.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
And I know that it's on the brochure that
Sure.
you just gave to me. But if I just want you to slow down just a little bit. I'm interested in what the cost is to me as an individual.
Right.
I know you went through but you have other people who would really, that could be our selling point. What is the cost?
So it depends on your assessed value.
There you go.
Right? So if your assessed value is $50,000 or your market value or whatever is at $50,000 assessed
Of what?
property that you own.
There you go,
house.
yeah.
So if you're at $50,000, your assessed value is 20% of that. That's what you're taxed on. The mill is the thousandths of that you're taxed on. So if your market value is $50,000 for your house and the assessed value is $10,000, then it's about $10 a month. So if your assessed value is the average of 82 or somewhere around there, the assessed value is $16,400 and the monthly amount is $18. I'll go $100,000. That's a round number people generally use in millage election time. Let's say your market value is 100, the assessed value is 20. The new monthly cost would be $20 additional. And you can see the 150 there, and you can kind of do your own math. I stray away from I left it in here because it's just good to. But if you look to the far right, it's got the daily rate, like this is 33 cents a day or 61 cents a day. I mean, that is true. You can do that math too. But all this will be available to the public, within days. So we're going to have a video presentation of me being very, very abbreviated version of this, PowerPoint, renderings from the architect, and overall plans, frequently asked questions. So any question you ask today, we can add to that frequently asked questions list so that voters will be aware.
So when was the last time that it was raised?
Great question. So it was 35 years ago when Clinton Primary was being thought of, and we knew we needed a new elementary school. 35 years ago.
When you said the ag-rod building at the high school, are we just talking about improvements on the current structure?
So we're not tearing the whole thing down. So it's improvement on the new structure, but it'd be gutted and expanded out toward the street, and then around the corner there is where that show barn area would be. And again, there's a lot of pictures and drawings that will be online, but essentially having clear, noted classrooms as you walk in, clear areas to hold the tools and different safety equipment that obviously is a safety concern, larger area for group work and assignments, working with power tools, working in shop, those sorts of things, having that available.
I know at one time before we did the athletic indoor facility, we had greenhouse and everything. Are we looking at also, because I foresee that being a good thing
I agree.
in the future.
So there's 2 areas that we're already looking at. One is right there where the show barn is scheduled to be. So we could do it kind of adjacent there. There's a great area behind the visitor stands. So we thought about the show barn area there, and Dr. Clark said, you better not do it right there. All them people gonna get mad. Don't you put that show barn right there? So I said, that's probably a good idea. So but that could be a great place for a greenhouse. Yeah. And Maurice, is that accurate or inaccurate?
Accurate.
Okay.
Is there gonna be any plans for parking in front
The high school.
of the high school to, so people could, I mean, the thing that really needs, and this just needs to be worked on.
Sure.
Is getting people into the football game. Because we built that nice little entranceway for the gym and I living over there, that parking is like a disaster. That parking by the track field, they have to
Closing
walk like a
18th
half a
Street.
mile to get in. I mean, we either need to get an opening through the track field where they get the football game and figure out somewhere, somehow to get those people, because some of them walking all the way around. And this really, that's something, I know it's not a big thing, but that needs to be put into the plans of
Now,
how.
we accounted for it at Yoder though. And so we can account for it at the high school too. We counted for that in our drawings. We talked about it at the high school. The only upgrades for the parking area was what we are affectionately calling the staff parking lot, but it's like the parking lot closest to, I guess, the old ninth grade academy or the junior high there.
Yes.
That just needs to be repaved and redone. So that's factored in. But I think there's room to do some things there.
Yeah, it's
as
just,
well.
it's just a really nice entrance and nobody can get to it because there's no parking anywhere. It's kind of backwards right there.
And talking about the 18th Street, I would like to see, and I think a lot of people would, visitor ban bus parking behind the visitor. Where they pull in and out of the way when they pull out, they're not parked on 18th Street. Yeah, there was a place for them.
There we go. So that's a great point, and that is accounted for. So inside of the new complex, and again, there's a lot of pictures, so I didn't include every picture here.
Sure.
But there's a parking area near the visitor section or around the visitor section where buses can be, and also parking for like tennis and visitor parking for football could be. So it's not a huge lot, but it's big enough where those things can be accounted for. Because I actually agree with you. That's an awkward transition if you're a visitor.
And it is had for the Strong Edition personnel or citizens, 18th Street.
Well, that's minor compared to what we want to do.
Yeah.
So. But it's a great program, I tell you what. 35 years since the last one, that says it all right there. We need to take some pride in our school and we need some major updates. And wish you well.
Time to get caught up.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, this the last shameless thing I would say, if you're willing, I have, these are hot off the press, I have some brochures. If you're willing, just at your leisure, because it's now going to be official, all this is official, this is a public meeting, I can hand these to you if you wouldn't mind sharing them around here or there. There'll be plenty of opportunities to do that. I'm sure you'll be getting phone calls from concerned citizens wanting you to vote for it or asking you questions either way. I welcome them all too. So I hope you have found and do find that I'm open to any sort of dialogue, good, bad, or indifferent. I think we are better when we come together and bring people inside of a big tent versus trying to shun people away. And the improvements and the investments we're talking about here, it's kind of funny. Look at the front, right? These are FFA students who graduated with honors, who are going off, and some are going to Agri schools and from all different backgrounds. And you look at the back, and obviously they're not the same students, but they start here. They start as kindergarten first graders. And what is the message that we send to our community? But even forget that, what's the message that we send to our students as they do 13 years with us if we fail to invest in them facilities-wise, and we fail to invest in their teachers, their paraprofessionals, or the people around them that serve every day. So I know I'm probably preaching to the choir there, but just thank you for allowing some time for me today. I would like to come back to you, and it's at your leisure. Would you rather me do it after the millage vote or before the millage vote to discuss what a reworking of the partnership could look like? Because it might not be necessary if the millage doesn't pass, which we're not going to speak that out. It's going to pass. But what's your pleasure on that? When would you like to see my face again? You can't say never. You gotta say
We'll
that.
just do it afterwards and then
Okay.
we'll work it all out. But we might see you before and have more questions.
And that'd be great. That'd be great.
We might have you before now. It's just to go over again. The more you can get this out, the better it is, because that's the number one problem right now is getting everybody on board with good
Start voting
information.
next month.
So what now?
You start voting on it next month.
That's the end
It'll
of
be here before we know it.
Yeah.
The 31st of July is the first day. So let me just go ahead and speak that out, right, in case people are watching or whatever else. So early voting is the 31st through the 7th at the courthouse from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and people know where that's at, but I'll just, for good measure, 200 East 2nd Street. Voter registration deadline is the 10th of July, so if you're not registered to vote and want to be registered to vote, July 10th is the date that you have to be registered by. We have some voter registration forms just in our central office, but there's also obviously some at the courthouse. Absentee ballots, just contact the Hempstead County Clerk's office. They will allow someone to get multiple ballots, but not too many per household, to just call them and schedule that. The actual election day is August 8th. And so the 2 election day voting areas are the Fulton Library, 315 Little River Street, and Fair Park Community Center, which is the actual address, learned today, is 137 Fair Park. So there's lots of addresses for the park, but that's the actual community center physical address. And polls on election day are 7:30 to 7:30 a.m. to p.m. So again, thank you for allowing me to come before you today.
Is it all one issue on the ballot?
It
Just
is.
one?
It is. The issue is for ordinance.
And it's countywide.
It is school district wide.
Okay.
School. So if you live inside the Hope School District zone, that is who is eligible to vote for this.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just want to say,
Okay. I figured you might want to.
I don't need that. I just be brief. Randy, you found out during my TV days how brief I was sometimes. I turned 69 years old yesterday. We passed a millage when I was 34. And look how old I am now. Now, 2 years ago, when we hired this young man, he came in, I heard Linda tell him to go down there ago. He came in with so much vim, vigor, passion. I took him out, after we hired him, I took him out to eat one day. And I told him to slow down. I believe you. I believe. He said, first thing I'm going to do, we're going to apply for $15 million magnet. $15 million. Lo and behold, here we go. We hired him because of his big dreams. I'm 69 years old. I've known, I go back to James H. Jones a long time ago. I've never seen a superintendent hit the ground running with so much energy. He's been, if you're in Kiwanis, he's seen you. If you're in Lyons, he's seen you. If you're in whatever. If you've got a church you go to halfway regular, he's seen you. He believes. I've already told him I believe. Jimmy's told him the same thing. The rest of the school board, all 7 of us have told him that. And this community has to understand that world-class students, we still have work to do. World-class facilities, world-class physical structures leads to world-class communities.
Yeah.
World-class parents. We've got to get them all. Now, this is the real world. Everything's not going to be perfect. But dadgummit, we can do our part. This is our part. Just think, I was 34 and almost had hair when the last tax on the millage was passed. So, only thing I'm asking you is just to be like Dr. Crosby. Just believe it can be done.
Yeah.
I believe. I told someone in our 5-year planning meeting not too long ago. There were a bunch of people out there, and I told them, BG and I know the money thing, no one likes that. But this is my community. It's why you serve doing what you do. It's why I serve on the school board. It's why the Quorum Court does what they do. This is our community. I just want you to believe and be positive. And this thing is coming up quick, Trevor. But help us out. We need your help to make a better city and a better community going forward. So just my belief in Dr. Crosley's passion, and I think he knows how to get it done. So we ask for your help.
Thank you all.
Anyone?
Rebuttal? We all
No,
know.
no rebuttal from me. I'll just go on with like a few of these.
Mayor, while he passes that up, I can make just a quick comment.
I
You
need
know,
some.
back in some of our college days and studying accounting, going through that degree, one of the things they taught us in financial analysis is, even if you look at a great company with a lot of cash, a cash cow company, if you see them not investing in research and development, it is a red flag that that company will not survive. Investment is critical for future success. We either decide to do it now or we fail in the future. It's just that important. And I think we all understand that just from a self-finance point of view. If we didn't work hard or get a certificate, or we didn't go to college and get a degree, or we didn't get something started planning and build some retirement, we end up in very difficult circumstances.
Very true. I hope we can all help on our part to have questions for people that come up to us. I appreciate all of y'all for your service and hopefully we can get this done. Anybody, any other comments from the board? All right, thank you guys. Y'all can stay with us. We're gonna be talking about some airport stuff here in just a minute. Y'all will stay.
World class.
World class.
I love airports, but see you later. You sure can.
We're moving to item 6, and I'm surprised.
Ms. Brown is not here, but I did, most time in the resolution, a lot of times I don't even bring them to the board, but I thought this was a very important resolution. It's really critical to the health and success of our nation as we move forward in unity and in respect for one another. So I was hoping that the mayor, you might allow this to be read by out loud to the public and voted on by the board.
This is Resolution 2023-5, whereas during the state of Arkansas's antebellum period, Hempstead County was consistently one of Arkansas's leading slave-holding counties with population ratios ranging between 27 and 39%. And whereas the city of Washington was once the county seat for Hempstead County and the last Confederate capital of the state of Arkansas. And whereas President Abraham Lincoln first issued the Emancipation Proclamation effective January 1st, 1863, decreeing all people held as slaves in territory still under Confederate control be henceforward free. However, Southern enslavers ignored that order, and whereas Union General Gordon Granger was dispatched to Galveston, Texas to announce General Order Number 3, the surrender of Confederate General Robert E. Lee, and on June 19, 1865, enforced the President's 1863 order freeing the people still held in human bondage in the state of Texas 2.5 years after it was first decreed. And whereas the city of Washington was one of 36 field offices in Arkansas to carry out the objectives of the Bureau of Refugees, Freedmen, and Abandoned Lands, often called the Freedmen's Bureau, to help Arkansas's estimated 110,000 enslaved persons gain economic, social, and political freedom. Field offices were located in areas of heavy black population where rivers and large plantations converged. And whereas Juneteenth, also called Freedom Day or Day of Jubilee, is the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of the historical event of 1865 in Galveston, Texas, which declared the ending of slavery in the United States of America. And whereas Juneteenth's roots in Arkansas are deep. By the 1910s, the event was tradition in Arkansas. In many parts of the state, it was understood that employers and mill managers would halt production that day to allow for its full celebration. Participants enjoyed baseball games, boxing matches, speeches, singing, dances, and whereas Juneteenth provides an opportunity for the City of Hope's cultural programmers, civic institutions, and governmental bodies to recognize, celebrate, and honor the lives, sacrifices, and contributions of its black residents that are woven into the fabric of Hope, Hempstead County, Arkansas. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the City of Hope, Arkansas recognizes Hempstead County Juneteenth Freedom Day
organized by Visibility Outreach Touch Engage South Arkansas as a celebration of resilience, history, and liberation on the third Saturday in June. Be it further resolved that Juneteenth Freedom Day is an opportunity for the City of Hope, its civic institutions, and its residents to come together, celebrate freedom, honor the achievements and resilience of African Americans, and demonstrate a commitment to acknowledging the past, promoting racial equality, and fostering a more inclusive society in Hope, Hempstead County, Arkansas, dated this 6th day of June, 2023.
All right, you've heard the reading of the resolution and the motion to approve, adopt.
So moved.
Is there a second? This is first and second, okay? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. I'll sign this and I appreciate, hey, Sylvia wasn't here, she worked hard on that. So, it'll be a big weekend. Okay, moving on to item 8.
Daryl's here if you have questions. Y'all have approved us to put in an application for a 90-10 grant. That's 90% grant, 10% matching, in-kind or fund, cash or in-kind match from the Arkansas Division of Aeronautics. We were approved. Daryl did a great job putting that application in and went before my group and talked about this, and they really liked it, and it was approved. And so we're simply seeking the board's approval to accept the grant. The grant will be $135,000 of actual state money. We are committing to $13,903.10 and in-kind match, not cash. We do some work to remove old fencing and things of that nature, but we are committing to $1,096.90 in cash. And we're asking the board to approve the acceptance of this grant. If Daryl had anything else he wanted to add.
Is that enough to get the project done?
Based on the quote, yep.
Okay.
We'll find out more when we get our bids.
Yeah.
Okay.
Motion to,
Just to accept the award.
okay.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion to accept. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
And kudos, Darrell, for doing a
Good job. Yep.
Start another one.
Right.
We have to spend this money by a certain time.
1 year,
Yeah, 1 year from today roughly,
when it was awarded.
when it was awarded. But we'll get on that as soon as possible.
Okay, move on to the street department, item 8.
Yeah, the street crew wasn't here tonight because they've been out working on Walker Street. You may have seen them there. They're working later into the evening, replacing a big culvert in one of the main ditch areas. So, the street superintendent asked if he could, continue to work and missed the meeting. I told him fine. All we're doing here is asking you to declare some property surplus, and so we can sell it or scrap it. And they are a 2005 Sterling boom truck. This has motor problems and a bad transmission. I think it's at the end of its useful life. All these things will be. 2003 Elgin sweeper truck, doesn't have a motor in it. 1991 John Deere loader with transmission problems and many problems. And the 2004 ODB leaf machine, we've been robbing parts off it to work on other leaf machines. So those are the 4 things you typically see. The 5th item is a little unusual. When we take out concrete, like we took out concrete on the sidewalk over here on our street project, we're hauling that down to our yard. That concrete is, it's in this big chunks where they break it up and throw it into a dump truck and they go dump it out and it sends it in a pile. And a lot of it has, some of it may have rebar running through it. It's really not a lot we can use for it, but we have found some people will pay us for it, like $20 a truckload. We're just asking the board to allow us to sell it to whomever might be willing to buy it at $2 a cubic yard or $20 a dump 10-yard truckload.
That's not delivered, right?
No, they would actually come here, and we have our old excavator. We have it there on site, so we would load them, and then really what we're trying to do is get it off our yard. It's just sitting there and probably not anything we can really do with it, so. There's a way to make them, it's not making much money, but we can get it off our yard.
I do have one question about the concrete. That does not consist of the concrete that's behind, I don't know what they call it, the service station building or whatever, that has the advertising.
I'll make sure it doesn't. I'll make sure it doesn't. We didn't even talk about that, but I'll make sure it doesn't. You're talking about the squares with got the old names in them.
Correct.
I'll make sure with street department. that's-
I think that'd be something we could use later downtown area. It's already located but in front of the depot now. But when they took the bricks out right in front of the depot, they took it and it's been sitting at the CD shop. But it's got Hope Hardware and Citizen National
Oh,
Bank.
yeah.
And it's got a lot of old Hope Brick Works. I really hate to see those destroyed, being history. We could always use it any other downtown area we might.
Reuse it, I mean, you,
Okay, it's big, I'm gonna call it probably 5 by 5 squares, it's like regular sidewalk.
Yeah.
And all you'd have to do is just set it, like new sidewalk and integrate it with the new. It's really nice looking, and
History.
it's history. I just hate to see that gone.
There are several pieces already broken.
Yeah.
So
you broke it.
Make a motion to declare these 5 items as surplus and leave it out.
Second.
can I add something for?
Yeah.
There's also, did he talk to you about the pile of concrete at the landfill also? There's a tremendous pile out there of, I mentioned it to Kenneth, and I didn't know if y'all said, no, we're gonna use it out there or what?
No, all he talked to me was about, and this was Public Works in the airport. He said he had some at the airport.
There's as much at the airport as out landfill. It's-
But if the board would allow us to, just to sell all that, even if it's.
All concrete available to the
I just
city
don't wanna
to
get that in
sell.
the,
That we feel like we can't use.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get it up. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, needed, second.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of surplus? Opposed? Go down to number 9, police department.
I'll have you come up here and present.
You gotta know how it operates.
So the police department's participated in a bulletproof vest grant for a number of years. And this is a grant that basically apply for it. Usually we buy 3, 4, 5 vests a year. Sometimes it's as many as 8, but it just depends. These things have expired dates, so about every 5 years we, have a few new ones that we need to buy. And the vest grant pays for 50%. So we ask that the board allow us to apply for that grant, pays for 50% of a vest that normally costs us about $1,166.
Oh, yeah.
So
At least
that's
the air conditioned kind?
Well, we're still looking at those.
Oh, okay.
We would like to have those. But yeah, no, they're not air conditioned unfortunately, but we do have a carrier
How many
actually that
typically do you,
allows us to take those off so that when the officers come in, they can sit down and work on the reports. They do hang them on a chair for just a minute and, cool
Can
off.
breathe?
Air out. Air out.
And air out, yeah. So, I'm sorry.
how many do you typically, or how many would you project that this would provide?
4 or 5 this year.
Okay.
Yeah. Depends on, if we're able to fill all our spots, then we may buy, we have 4 new officers, so it may be 5 or 6.
Did you say, what's the lifespan of one of those?
5 years?
5 years.
That's for an expiration date, yeah.
Yeah.
Chief, the deal is the new chief has to wear those and be tested, correct?
Oh, no. I will wear one, but not to the testing. We never have the testing.
All right, you heard the
Thank you.
request, is there a motion to?
So moved.
I make a motion, we approve the bulletproof vest grant application.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You, me, aye, with you, okay?
And this grant's a little different, and there won't be an award letter, they'll just put it in our account, so we won't be coming back to you with an award. They just put it in our account, and then they can spend it.
Okay.
It's all done through a portal, a DOJ portal.
And these are vests that we would have bought anyway, so all we're doing is actually getting half of our money back. So it's in
We
our
have-
line, it's in
it's a
our line item.
reimbursement.
We make sure that money's in our line item, in our uniform line item budget, so.
Tell you what, I know this is different, but what about our cameras? Is all the officers, do they all have cameras now? Are we short?
Well, we don't
Out of
buy,
curiosity.
we don't buy a body camera for each officer, but we have X amount of body cameras, and every officer working on duty wears one.
So
we change them out. And they have an inventory system where when the officer logs into a computer, he checks it out and it unlocks it, and they're able to take it out of the deal and put it on, and it signs it to him, and he docks it back, it turns it back in, the new person checks it out, it signs it to them. So it's connected to an officer through that system. But we have, what, 8? I think our goal is to keep about 8 body cameras.
I think there's right in one of them.
Even our SRO, one or two.
Yeah, and
That's
they're in most of our vehicles separate.
In all of our vehicles have cameras, and that's separate. I say all patrol vehicles.
Patrol vehicles.
Great, okay. Any other questions? Move on to item 10. KR?
Hey, real quick, just hope you get a chance to drive by the Hope in Action. The new roof's on. I think it all looks good. I got word from some of the guys down there. They really liked it. We're getting close to the UV project. Met with the engineer again. We're in the final stages to get that to ADEQ. I hope that happens within a week or so. Our streetscape electric work, you've seen guys working down there. That's moving along. I think we've solved the Christmas light issue. If you remember, they gave us a quote of pulling a neutral wire, putting it on a separate circuit of like $65,000, which we all kind of scoffed at. When we met with the electrician, myself and Seth Zimmer, we actually met with the head electrician. We just made a deal. And Hope Water Light's going to provide a neutral wire. They're going to pull it with their other pull, to no other labor to them. They're just pulling it while they're pulling their other wires. They're going to leave them unconnected in the boxes. Hope Water Light's going to come up and connect them in each of the boxes. That won't cost us a thing. So we're going to have them run to every light pole, and all we'll have to do when we decide we want to connect the receptacle to it, we'll just have to have a local electrician come and work in each pole and connect it to the plug-in. The reason this all came about is all of our downtown lighting is 120 volt, but this new lighting is 220 volt. And all they planned in the electrician was running 2 hot wires with no neutral and a ground. That's all they had. So we never could have tied into one side just to steal 110. We couldn't do it because there was no neutral wire that would allow us to do it. That's why we have to have a neutral wire. If we grab a neutral wire and one hot wire, that'll make us 110 and service the plug. And then we can plug our Christmas lights in. The reason they didn't put 120 volt like the rest of downtown, that was my question, why don't we just do it like the rest of downtown? They were concerned where their power was, we'd lose too much voltage running through our system, that we'd lose lights. Eventually lights would get too dim or wouldn't work properly. They needed that voltage, due to distance. So they needed, the engineer's opinion was we needed 220, 240, whatever it is on the plans. We got that worked out. So I think we're going to accomplish that, and that'll make everybody happy. It shouldn't cost us anything. The trade was, what they're going to get on their side is they're going to go to an existing free service box as opposed to put in a new meter and a new box. They're just going to an existing box. Seth looked at it, said it has plenty of room. There should be no issues. So that was the trade-off. Fireworks show set for July 1st at the City of Hope Airport. We signed the contract today. We processed the deposit invoice today, so that should be going. Gates will open at 6 p.m. Police will probably be there at least by 5:30, holding their briefing and getting ready to do their jobs. Y'all asked me to look into additional sidewalk, and I've done that. I've met with TCC, and here's the gist of it. They will put in a 5-foot by 300-foot sidewalk that goes down Pine Street from 2nd to Division. They'll add a new drive off the Pine Street into that parking lot. We got the one new drive where a bus could come in one way and then go out the other way. They'll add that, and it's 6 inches by 28 feet by 16-foot driveway. And then they would put on the Pine Street and Division, they would add, at that curve where it makes the turn, it would be a handicap accessible. They'll do all that for $27,880 if the board wants to do that. And that would be, the street department would remove the old sidewalk and haul it off. They wanted to sell it, yeah. So they wanted actually $11,000 more, but we said what would it be if we took the sidewalk out? And street department went down and said, yeah, we can do that, no problem. Shouldn't take much long at all. So if y'all want to do it, y'all just let me know, and we can agree to this $27,880. It's really just a decision for the board.
I just had a question on that 28 is going to be the width of that to the street, right?
I think it's the width, and
But
then
16 seems
it does seem a little
long to me.
It does seem a little long. It is pretty wide right there.
It's a wide median or area between the sidewalk and the grass, and then between.
Well, it's a 5-foot sidewalk, the new sidewalk, which is much bigger than what's there existing right now. I just drove by it on the way here to look at it. I mean, it's not 16 feet from the curb to the asphalt right now.
I think that's not including sidewalk in there because they're going to refortify. That's going to be the drive. No sidewalk won't be.
No, I was just talking about width that we had right there from curb to the asphalt.
Yeah.
That was the only thing that, when I saw that, it just didn't make,
And
it
I
may
think
be the way they have to
they
develop
actually
it.
go in, I don't think they go right to the asphalt line. I think they actually go past it a little ways.
Yeah, I've never built one, so I didn't know that. It just, that 16 definitely seemed long to me from what we
And it may
put.
be. I'll check with them on that, get you some better answers. But obviously if they do, if we think we can go less than that, then maybe that'd be a reduction in price.
This would be a standalone sidewalk with no curb or anything, right?
Standalone sidewalk, no curb.
I just want,
I think it's needed though.
It is.
Ties that whole,
yeah, it'd just make that whole place look.
And no lighting down through there, just a sidewalk, 5 foot by 300 foot. With the drive and the handicap accessibility.
I'm sure Clip's.
So the
number
sidewalk
puts-
is from Pine to Division?
It goes down, it's on Pine Street, and it'd go from Second to Division.
It's gonna tie into our streetscape sidewalk.
Right, on the west side. Yeah, so if you're leaving the front of the Clips, which we did during the bash, because a lot of people walked around, that sidewalk is just so bumpy, everybody just had to walk in the street. So that would be nice.
I would like to see us sometime in the future, when we do our street budget is include a few sidewalks, just a few. I mean, I get carried away, but we need
We've got some
sidewalks.
dangerous ones out there.
I would like for us to look into the, I know Prescott just did all the way from their east side, their downtown,
I knew it was a little short of 16.
and the highway department did it because it's on state highway. I don't know what they did, maybe Mary Godwin could tell us how she got that grant and everything, but it's really nice. It's all new sidewalk.
Yeah. So that's it right there. He's got it pulled up.
Yep.
It doesn't have the,
Yeah, I got too far in.
So just to the sidewalk from the streets, 15 right
Street
there?
to the edge of asphalt is 15 to 16 feet, so that must be where they're getting that.
Okay.
And from edge of, so if you want to go from edge of our parking lot, which is the edge of that lot, 28 feet's gonna be around there, so.
Yeah, because just
Yeah.
past that up on the left is going to be where the stage and everything's being built.
Well, let me ask, is there anything that tourism can help with this? Especially the part with the parking,
Tourism
The
bought
drive-
a lot.
the driveway? Because the whole plan, it to eventually is for the park service.
And Clips now, too.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they
Yeah.
could if they wanted to.
might see if we could.
Take some of it.
Maybe half it, or do some.
And they did a lot on this current project, just to let you know. I don't know I I don't know the amount. I'd have to go back and look at that. They committed into this project we got going now.
Yeah, and they also came back and added more to it when we needed more money.
If I remember right, it's gonna be around $150,000 is what they did
Oh, okay,
on the streetscape project.
okay.
Plus the parking lot.
One question was where they tied that sidewalk in going down Second, right before it gets to Hervey, it bends hard, or it bends right and leaves that corner.
Yeah, what,
Do we know what that corner is for?
Right there on Hervey?
Yes.
No, I don't,
Okay.
but I'll find out.
I didn't think, I mean, you know, we have that, a spot somewhere in that vicinity marked for that Veterans Memorial.
right, so, yeah.
But I didn't think that that was
It's
where.
gotta have something to do with state, that being close to state right away. That's the only thing I can think of.
Okay.
Okay, so that's just for y'all to consideration. If you want me to move forward, I'll need your wishes on that. Number 6, I just want to let you know Hope in Action has moved forward with 2 grants they've applied for. They have one under Hope in Action and one under City of Hope Shelter, and it's around $48,000 would be used for helping people with certain bills, fuel and utilities and things of that nature. $26,000 would actually be for the shelter itself and helping out there, so that's always a good thing.
What's the new roof?
No, not the new roof.
We already paid for
I wanted to
it.
highlight the park a minute if I could. Summer Kids Program begins June 13th through July 20th. It's on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I think it goes from 9 a.m. to noon. And people are welcome to apply for that. None of the highlights in our parks, we have the pool is open. Opened on May 29th. It's going well. And the swine barn is going to be used on the 24th of this month. We have 13 pool parties scheduled so far in June. We have a wrestling event this weekend in the Coliseum. We have Northside Community Center and the Fair Park Community Center rented over 9 to 10 dates so far in the month of June. We have the pavilion rented 3 pavilions rented for a period of days, and we have 6 hub rentals. 3 of those are farmers market, and 3 of those are other organizations. If you look at the Pocket Park, it's complete. We finished getting the rocks out. We've concreted the top. We cleaned up the brick around the wall that goes up the National Building. We've closed off some gaps that we felt like we exposed, and so water can't get into the National Building. We finished the park bench over the RPZ. We put the fence up around the electric. All we got to do is stain that fence. I think we're going to stain that fence to kind of match the color. Then we're through. And the only thing we're ever have to do, and I got to call Summer, is clean up what building materials we still have down. We still have some bricks down there and some cinder blocks that we just need to get up out of the way and take back to our facilities. So good things there going on in the park. I wanted you also to know that our first board meeting in July, of course we have a board meeting on the 20th, then we'll have a board meeting July 4th. Do y'all want to go ahead and cancel that?
Yeah.
That's on the day.
Break it up over there. Break it up. Boy, that looks, I'll tell you what,
Just joking.
Just joking.
Does the board want to cancel that one? Okay, so we'll cancel July 4th, so everybody knows in advance. You can plan your July 4th holiday. I already told you, street department's working on Walker Street. Tomorrow, we're gonna be moving the track hoe over to the cemetery. We're gonna be removing those trees fell on the fence. You know, they cut the trees. We're gonna remove those stumps so that the cemetery association can start repairing that fence. So we're gonna get those out of the way for them. We'll get that fence fixed. I hope you've had a chance to drive through the cemetery. Please drive through it in the next couple of days. It looks really good now. We've been talking back and forth with when we're not happy, we've been discussing that with our contractor, and we've tried to give and take with each other to understand one another. I think we're getting to the point where we are, and it looks really good right now, so I'm really happy with it. We're gonna start demolition. We had our, from y'all's condemnations that y'all approved, last meeting or meeting before last, we had our first meeting with Carl Conley, the fire department, street department. We laid out a plan to begin that process. Some people have applied for permits to try to rebuild. Those are still in the works, but I think they're going to start on their very first demolition this week at 711 North Walnut, and that's with the blessings of the owners. And the owners actually want to pay us. We think what we'll have to do is we'll have to probably file the lien like we typically do. We'll get with Randy and file the lien, but we think that lien won't stay long because they just kind of want to get on a payment plan is what they feel like they could do to pay off that lien. But just in case they didn't, the lien would still be there. But I'll talk to Randy about that and let him give me some guidance on how we should move forward with that. But we should start that process this week. Fireman's Pension Board meeting, I suspect, which is next Tuesday, June 13th, before we kind of all leave, before the convention, we're meeting. We've already met with LOPFI. We've already had the executive director down. We understand very clearly the benefits maybe of moving to LOPFI. I've written a letter to all the firemen, not just the commission of the Fireman's Pension Board. We made sure that every member, I think there's only 8 or 9 of us, or 9 of them, understand what we would be doing if this happens. We're going to meet Tuesday, and I rather suspect the commission will vote that day. If they vote to approve to move to LOPFI to manage their pension fund, that means the city would no longer have to manage it. But even if they approve that and they sign off, I got a document from LOPFI that the board would sign, it still has to come to you guys. And we will make sure you understand everything. Even if the executive director needs to come down, I can probably have him come down. We can explain everything to you to make sure you know your responsibilities, and you have to sign off on it too. But once they sign off on it and you sign off on it, then we could move to LOPFI managed Fireman's Pension Trust Fund and we would be out of that business. We would maintain our our millage. That millage would be used for any cost the city would have in the future with LOPFI. So if we could either transfer that money to LOPFI and have gains, or we could hold it up until they tell us, oh, you got to owe a little bit, we pay for it out of our own checking account. But I'll let the director kind of explain that to you, how that works. But we'd still need to maintain that millage at least until a point in time that the fund is just gone. And then if at that time the board wanted to drop that millage, and maybe you may be required to at that time, I really don't know. We'll get with Randy or whoever our city attorney is at that time, and whoever the city manager is at that time, because that's going to be several years down the road. The other thing, I wanted to give you some good news. We don't get a lot of people calling saying, hey, you're doing a good job. We did get a call today about our code enforcement team doing a great job, and we really appreciate the citizens. This was a citizen, 2 citizens, matter of fact, over in the in an area off Spring Hill Road and 16th Street, back in some housing addition there, that really just called us to tell us, hey, y'all are doing a great job. Thank you very much. And really, so kudos. I wanted just to tell Dorsey and Dilecia and Carl, they don't get to hear this very often. Thank you very much for all you do, and appreciate everything you're trying to do. That's really it for the city manager's report.
Okay, going back to the sidewalk by the Clips house, what's the time frame on that we need to decide? Because they're going to be when are they moving out?
Well, I think the quicker you tell me, and I don't know their time frame that they'll come back to do it, but if you tell me y'all want to do this, I'll notify them immediately.
Tomorrow.
I have a question too about that. With that drive, would you have to is that going to be an exit only drive?
Well, that would really be what.
And then would you have to restrike the parking lot?
No, what I'm thinking is, there is some striping already in the parking lot, and we'd make sure that the drive kind of fits the driveway where the driveway is currently.
Okay.
And there's two. You can do it on the end closest to. There's a driveway inside the parking lot on closest to Second Street, and there's one that's closer towards, I think the one closer towards Division would be better, because you can come in the one, and you can go, your bus can get up there and make that other turn, and then they can go straight out and loop around. They wouldn't be trying to make sharp turns. That'd probably be the best thing to do.
I'll say one thing about buildings and everything. The Lions Club just approved over $2,000. We're gonna redo the pavilion at the Kelly baseball fields. It's got a lot of roof damage and stuff, so we approved to do that this last week.
I was looking at that this week. Also, just to let everybody know, I hope you've seen some things at the park. We have a little bit more paving work to do. We're getting that done. We've put the dirt down around the, where, I'm sorry, her name is slipping my mind, Miss, one of our big advocates for Northside Park.
Hazel Simpson?
Yes, Ms. Hazel Simpson. So she'd been talking about drainage. We've got that with dirt. We are watching the water. We're going to try to make sure the water moves where we want it to. Then we're going to be putting sod on that. So sod will be coming. I've got with Summer, we're going to paint the buildings that are out there. We're going to paint the baseball, I guess the old concession, the bathrooms. We're going to make that look better. My charge to Summer was, let's manage, make sure things look as good as we can make them look, our existing infrastructure. So that's our goal. That should happen fairly quickly. We're moving very fast now. The park's moving very fast, and I definitely want to talk to y'all more in the future. I've talked with the mayor, and I think we want to come back to the board to talk about a future park plan that's a lot along the same lines as thinking of Dr. Crossley with Hope infrastructure. We definitely see a need for upgrading park infrastructure. It is the health of our community.
Amen.
It is the thing in our community that everybody uses and has fun at. It's not just going to work. So we want to talk to y'all more about that. We had some ideas on funding, and I've talked to bond lawyers and bond counsel, and Randy and I have had some discussions on it. Don't know exactly the end point yet, but if we could just set a goal of what we want, we can figure out the finances, I think. And if we can't figure them out, then we won't do it, obviously. But I think we could figure out the finances and a way to really do a really nice project, or projects, plural, at one time, and get some things up to standard. All right, thank you.
Looks like you got some dirt turned on 6th Street.
Woo, they digging.
Got sidewalks.
Stand in front of
Yes, we have work going on the 6th Street project, and that's a blessing to see. Yeah. It is.
the, great. Well, they definitely missed the rainy season.
Yes.
Okay, if we could think about it and decide something about the sidewalk, we'll just be thinking about it over the before our next meeting, we'll bring it back up.
And in terms of funding, it is unfunded, it's not in our budget, but, there's a possibility that we could end up with a little extra money at the end of the year, and that it could naturally work its way out. If it didn't,
It's
then
not
we'd
gonna
have
get
to.
any cheaper.
Yeah, it's not gonna get any cheaper, but if it didn't work its way out just in our normal budget, we could, come out of some reserves with some money to make that appropriation to bring our budget in line at the end of the year.
Mayor, could we not go ahead and vote on that this evening?
That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, that's fine, I didn't want to push it.
Do we just need an agreement, or we need a motion?
I'd appreciate a motion.
I make a motion that we go ahead and approve the amount,
Second.
2788.
yeah, $2788 for the sidewalk on Pine Street between Division and Second.
All right, I think I make that really look nice down there. So a motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great, thank you guys. I don't think that was really good deal.
And just to be clear on this, I just want to make the board aware, this would be just an extension of our current contract with our current vendor. Would not be going to any kind of quotes or anything of that nature. Just be an agreement with our current vendor. Okay.
All good? Okay. Thank you, Gerald. Very good. Okay, citizen request. Anybody got any? Could have sat back, could have sat down back there.
I did hear
I
that.
can pay you back. That comes to your minute.
Mayor, I did hear that Jimmy Courtney's gonna be one of the wrestlers at the wrestling match.
What's that name you're going under?
It's JC.
You wrestling Nick?
Oh my, time to go.
So I did want to appreciate y'all for the support and passage on if I'm not mistaken, the resolution. And certainly appreciate Director Montgomery for his support as well as Directors Talley and Clark for their support for Juneteenth coming up in 10 days.
Ms. Brown will actually sign the resolution, and Amber, the HR director in our hall, will have a copy for you on a nice piece of paper with the seal of City Hall, and you can just pick it up probably tomorrow if you like,
Okay.
or anytime after, whenever you want to.
Well, certainly, just today, the notification about various supporters, sponsors was in the paper, and so if there's interest in doing a photo presentation, we'd certainly appreciate that, and obviously, perhaps reading at the various ceremonies that we have on Friday night, the 16th, and/or on Saturday and Sunday as well.
All right. I think some of the board members are going to be before the next meeting, since we're missing the 4th. Some of us are going to Little Rock to the municipal league.
Yes, sir.
So there'll be a few of us up there. So, anything else to come before the board? If not, the meeting's adjourned.